Welcome to another session of Statistics and Probability. This is your teacher, John Lennon Salmario. Today we will be discussing conducting significant tests using the probability value approach. For your lesson objectives, after going through this module, you are expected to differentiate traditional approach from probability value approach of hypothesis testing and conduct significance tests using the probability value method. Now, let us recall our previous lesson. Let us use the normal curve to determine the probabilities of the following. So, dito daw, kailangan try natin i-recall yung mga ginawa natin dati. Kung isasolve daw natin yung probability regarding a certain z-score. What is the probability that the z value is greater than -1? Sige nga, compute natin. Okay, good. The probability is 84.13%. How about the probability of z greater than 1.96? Very good. This is 2.5%. How about when z is greater than -1.645? Very good. This is 95%. How about when the probability of z is greater than 1? Very good. This is 15.87%. Okay, so how about the probability of z less than -2.33? So this is what? This is 1%. 1%. Okay? 1% yan. Okay? Okay, good. Naalala na. 1% talaga yan. Now, conducting hypothesis testing using the p-value method. Ano ang ibig sabihin nito? This means that the p-value, or p for short, is the probability of committing a type 1 error. Now, counterpart nito is the risk of making a type 1 error, which is denoted by alpha. Yun pala yung alpha natin. The alpha is equals to the p when rejecting the null hypothesis or when null hypothesis is true. So, ito raw yung magde-determine kung i-reject natin or i-accept natin yung null hypothesis. Now, ano ang maaari natin gawin sa dalawa lang ang pwede natin gawin dito, i-reject or hindi i-reject yung null hypothesis. Ano magiging basehan natin para gawin ito? We have here the decision rule for p-value approach. So we reject HO or the null hypothesis if the p is less than or equal to the alpha, and we do not otherwise we do not reject it if, or we do not reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is greater than alpha. For alpha is equals to 0.05, again, we reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is less than or equal to 0.05, which is the alpha. And we do not reject it or we accept the null hypothesis if the p-value is greater than 0.05. Same lang din for 0.01. We reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is less than or equal to 0.01. Then we do not reject or we accept the null hypothesis if the p-value is greater than 0.01. Again, this is for when alpha is greater than, or equal 0.01. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Now, let us answer some example. Brian administered a mathematical achievement test to a random sample of 50 graduating pupils. In this sample, x is equals to 90, or the mean is equals to 90, and the sample standard deviation is equals to 10. The population parameter is the population mean is equals to 83, and the population standard deviation is equals to 15. Unang tanong, does the sample come from the average population? And is the performance of the sample above average? use alpha is equals to 0.05. So, nag-administer daw si Brian ng isang achievement test sa 50 graduating pupils. Ngayon, doon daw sa sample, nakakakuha daw siya ng mean na 90 at sample standard deviation na 10. Ang population parameter naman sa isang banda ay ang mean ay 83 at ang standard deviation ay 15. Galing daw ba yung sample from mula sa average population? Yun ang tinatanong. So, in order for us to know the answer, we will use the probability value approach. Ayan, paano natin kukumpitin yan? So, ganito, ano? So, paano ba natin kinocompute yan? So, una, let us describe the population parameter. Paano natin i-describe yung population parameter? The parameter of interest is the population mean, the mean performance of all the pupils in the test. So, yun yung tinatanong. Next, let us formulate the hypothesis. So, dito sa probability value approach, dalawang beses tayo magko-compute. Bakit? I-determine natin using two tails and one tail test. Yun ang gagawin natin. Kasi alin ang mauna? Unahin muna natin yung two-tail test. And when we say two-tail test, alam na natin kung ano yung gagawing hypothesis. Ano-ano yun? Very good. The null hypothesis is equals to 83. And the alternative hypothesis is the mean is not equal to 83. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Bakit ganyan ang formulation natin ng hypothesis? Kasi two-tailed test yung gagamitin. Next. Let us check the assumption. So, assumption, ano chine-check? Good. Yung population size ng sample. Ano ba yung population size ng sample? Very good. 50. Since n is equals to 50, we can apply the central limit theorem. Ayan, very good. Next. Let us choose the type of test and significance level. Since dito pa lang sa pag-formulate ng hypothesis, na-determine natin kung ano yung type ng test, which is a two-tailed test. Very good. Paano naman yung significance level? Meron ba? Ang significance level natin ay 0.05 kasi ang alpha natin kanina ay 0.05. Yun yung nasa given. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next. With those being said, let us proceed to step 5, which is solve for the z-value. So, paano natin solve yung z-value? Using the test statistic, which is equal to z is equals to x bar minus mean over the standard deviation divided by the square root of n. So, meron na tayong sample mean, meron na tayong population mean, meron na tayong population standard deviation, at meron na rin tayong population. So, therefore, isa-substitute na lang natin. Compute natin. Ayan, very good. So, once na makompute na natin yan, ano ang sagot? That would be equal to 7 over 2.12 or that is 3.3. Yan yung nakompute natin na z-value. So, ano na ngayon ang gagawin natin after natin makompute yung z-value? So, for this one, we can now determine the p-value. So, the p-value is equals to the the value of z when the probability that the value of z is greater than the computed z. So, sige, check natin ano. So, ang probability daw, ang p-value daw natin ay ang probability ng z that is greater than 3.3. So, medyo malaki yung 3.3. And we know, kapag medyo malaki yung ating z value, ang probability na lang niya ay, ano, very good, sobrang liit na, which is equals to what? 0.5 minus 0.4999 or 0.4999, which is equals to 0.001. Napakaliit na. Okay? Very good. So, ngayong na-compute na natin yung, saan galing tong 0.5? If you could recall our previous lessons regarding computation of the probability of Z, dun lang natin nakuha yun. Kasi yung area ng normal curve is 1. Kalahati nito ay 0.5. Ayan, very good. Nakuha ba? Okay, good. Next. Since the test is two-tailed, we multiply the p-value by 2. Tama nga naman. Bakit? Kasi yung ating test ay two-tailed. So, para makuha natin yung value ng alpha, kailangan kunin natin yung alpha para sa buong normal curve. Kaya i-multiply natin to by 2. Therefore, ang final p-value natin ay 0.002. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next, we state the decision rule. So, ito yung ating parameters regarding sa pagde-decide. We reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is less than or equal to 0.05, and we accept or we do not reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is greater than 0.05. Ano ba yung p-value? So, p-value and alpha. So, ayan. Ang p-value natin ay 0.02 at ang alpha natin ay 0.05. Okay, very good. So, ngayon, ikukumpara na lang natin. Saan kayang condition papasok itong dalawang ito? Sa una kaya, i-reject ba natin? Or i-accept natin yung null hypothesis? Very good. That is 0.02 less than 0.002 is less than 0.05. Therefore, masasabi natin na ang computed value is less than the alpha. Sa makatuwid, we reject the null hypothesis. Kitang-kita naman, dito pa lang, pasok siya. The impression implies that the samples came from a population that is above average. Ayan. So, ibig sabihin, hindi daw ito yung 50 samples daw ay hindi galing sa average, kundi sa iba, maaaring above the average. Ayan. Kuha ba? Ayan, very good. Now, tapos na tayo sa una. Paano naman sa pangalawa? Is the performance of the sample above average? So, check natin. Describe the population parameter again. So, yun yung step 1. The parameter of interest, again, is the population mean, the mean performance of all the pupils test. Step 2, let us formulate the null hypothesis. So, dito, let us formulate the hypothesis. So, dito ang tinatanong, kung yung performance ba ng sample ay above average. Above average. So, yung kanina, sa pag-formulate itong hypothesis natin, ito yung keyword nga, above average. Ito yung average natin. Yung performance daw ba nito ay above average nung kinuha nating sample. So, therefore, ano ang magiging hypothesis natin? Ang hypothesis natin dito ay, very good. The null hypothesis is that the mean is equals to 83 and that the alternative hypothesis is that the mean is greater than 83. Bakit greater than? Kasi ang tinatanong is the performance of the sample above average. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next, step 3. Let us check the assumptions. Again, ang ating sample size ay equal sa 50. Therefore, we can apply the central limit theorem. Ayan, very good. Next, we choose the type of test and significance level. Again, since ito ay, sa step 2 pa lang, makikita na natin, since ito ay greater than yung value, we can say that this is what? A one-tailed test. Nasa ng tail niya? Is it to the left or to the right? To the greater than. This to the right. Very good. So, one-tailed test. Then, what? Yung ating significance level, which is equal to 0.05. Again, parehas lang nung una. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next, we solve for the z value. Again, using the same computation that we did earlier, that is z is equals to x bar minus mean over standard deviation divided by square root of n. So, meron na tayong yung lahat ng value na yan. Isa-substitute na lang natin. Therefore, ang makukuha natin ay the same lang, which is 3.33 or 3.3. Ayan. Then, the p-value, we compute that. Pero na-compute na natin yan earlier. What is the p-value when z is greater than 3.3, which is equals to 0.01. Ngayon na-compute na natin yung p-value. Yan na ba yung final? Yes, yan na yung final. Bakit hindi na natin i-multiply ng 2 kagaya ng kanina? Kasi ang test natin ay one-tailed test lang. Therefore, hindi no need to multiply it by 2. Kuha ba? Kuha. Very good. The test is one-tailed. The value remains as is. So, next tayo. Yan ang final p-value natin. That is 0.001. Ano na next step? Next step, let us state the decision rule. Again, reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is less than or equal 0.05, and then we accept the null hypothesis, or we do not reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is greater than 0.05. Ayan, very good. So, ano ba yung kailangan i-compare natin dito? Yung final p-value at yung alpha, which is 0.05. Let us compare them both. Ang p-value natin ay 0.001 at ang alpha natin ay 0.05. Saang condition kaya siya papasok? Very good. That is in the first one. 0.001 is less than 0.05. Therefore, we can say that the computed value is less than alpha. So, ibig sabihin, we reject the null hypothesis because the impression implies that the samples came from a population that is above the average. Ayan, very good. So, nakuha na ba? So, ang magiging to? We reject the null hypothesis. Okay? Based on the probability value approach. Kuha ba? Kuha. Very good. Now, let us recall decision rule for p-value approach. Again, dito sa p-value, i-compare lang natin yung computed p-value and the given alpha. We reject if the p-value is less than or equal to alpha, and then we accept or we do not reject the p-value if it is greater than alpha. So, yun lang din yun. Same lang sa kapag ang alpha natin ay 0.05 ay 0.01 or for any given alpha. Basta pag less than or equal yung value ng p, we reject it. Kuha ba? Otherwise, we accept it. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Let us now practice. Okay. So, yan. A random sample of 200 school managers were administered a developed leadership skills test. The sample mean and standard deviation were 78 and 4.2 respectively. In the standardization of the test, the mean was 73 and the standard deviation was 8. So that's the significant difference using p-value method at alpha is equals to 0.05. So sige, pause nyo muna yung video, then after nito, check natin kung tama yung sagot nyo, okay? I trust you guys. Good luck.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, so sige. Check na natin kung tama yung kinumpit natin. Again, a random sample of 200 school managers were administered using a developed leadership skills test. The sample mean and the standard deviation were 78 and 4.2 respectively. In the standardization of the test, the mean was 73 and standard deviation was 8. Test the significant difference using p-value method at alpha is equals to 0.05. Okay, so paano natin sasagutan ulit ito? Again, let us proceed this using step by step. So, paano gagawin? Una, let us describe the population parameter. So, again, ano yung kailangan natin hanapin dito? The parameter of interest is the population mean ang ating hinahanap is the mean performance of all the pupils in the test. Take note, all the pupils in the test. Next, let us formulate the hypothesis. Ano kaya maging hypothesis nandito? Again, when we are in the p-value approach, dalawa yung ginagawa natin. That is, what? Two-tails and one-tails. With that being said, one-tailed. With that being said, anong kailangan natin unahin? It doesn't matter kung ano unahin natin. Pwedeng two-tailed, pwedeng one-tailed. Very good. So, therefore, ang dapat natin dito, pwede natin gawin ay what? Ang null hypothesis natin is equals to 73 at ang alternative hypothesis natin is not equal to 73. Ayan, very good. Next, nasa susunod, kapag pagka-formulate ang null hypothesis, we will check the assumption. So, check natin yung alin? Ito, yung sample. Since ang sample size natin ay 200, we can apply central limit theorem. Ayan, very good. Pagka-check ng assumption, determine natin yung type ng test and significance level. Anong type ng test natin? Since not equal ito, two-tailed test. Z statistic yon. At ano naman significant level? Ayun, significant level natin, which is 0.05. We have the significant level and alam na natin yung type ng test. We will proceed to solving the Z value, which is equals to, again, x bar minus mean over standard deviation divided by square root of n. So, substitute lang natin lahat ng values. Ayan. So, saan galing tong 8? Ayun yung 8. 73, ayun. 78, ayun. Okay. So, pagka-compute natin, ano makukuha natin? Ayan, very good. 5 divided by 0.77 or this is equals to 8.77. Sobrang laki na. Okay. Pero okay lang yun kung yun talaga na-compute natin. Next, anong gagawin natin? Since may Z value na tayo, kukompute na natin yung P value. Ang probability ng P value when Z is greater than 8.77. Kapag sobrang laki na ng ating Z, ang sobrang laki na ng ating Z value or na Z score, anong value ang kukumpute natin, ang ilalagay natin? Wala yung 8.77 sa Z table, right? So, kapag ganito, ang ilalagay natin ay 0.4999. Yan. Kasi sobrang laki na. 3.3, malaki pa yan. Pero ito, sobrang laki na. So, 0.4999. Yan. Which is equals to, subtract lang natin mula sa 0.5. Therefore, ang makukuha natin ay 0.00001. Yan. Very good. Yan na ba yung final? Hindi pa. Bakit? Kasi two-tailed test, multiply ba natin sa 2. Therefore, ang final p-value natin ay 0.0002. Ayan. Yan ang ating final p-value. Next, let us state the decision rule. So, paano ba ito sa decision rule? Again, anong decision rule natin? We reject the null hypothesis if the p-value is greater than 0.05. Otherwise, we accept it. Okay? So, ano nang kailangan natin dito? Kukumpara lang natin yung p-value sa yung alpha. Compute natin p-value, 0.0002. Alpha natin is 0.05. Therefore, anong magiging analysis natin dito? Very good. 0.0002 is less than 0.05. Tama? Ayan, very good. So, ano magiging decision natin? Very good. We reject the null hypothesis. Ayan, very good. The impression implies that the samples came from a population that is above the average. Ayan. Buwa ba? Okay, good. Next. Tapos na ba? Hindi pa. Bakit? Kasi nag-test na tayo ng two-tailed. Ngayon naman, one-tailed naman. Ayan, very good. So, dito at paano? Again, we describe the population parameter. The parameter of interest is the population mean, the mean performance of all the pupils in the test. Ayan, very good. So, yan yung population parameter natin. So, next, we formulate the hypothesis. So, kanina nag-two-tail tayo, ngayon naman panigurado one-tail. Kaso ano kaya? Less than or greater than? anong magiging ano natin dito? Ano ang magiging Q natin kung greater than siya or less than? Ayun, very good. So, greater than. Bakit? Kasi ito, 78. Yung 78 na average ng sample ay mas malaki compared to the population standard average population mean, which is 73. Ayan, very good. Kaya greater than. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next, we check for assumptions. Let us check the sample. Ayun, 200. So, therefore, we can apply the central limit theorem. Ayan, very good. Next, we choose the type of test and significance level. Again, since greater than ito, anong ating type of test? That is one-tailed. One-tailed yun, sorry. One-tailed, one-tailed, one-tailed. Then, Z statistic. One yan, one. Yan. One-tailed. Next, level of significance, 0.005. I mean, 0.05. Very good. Next, we solve for the Z value. Same approach lang nung kanina, which is equals to 8.77. There, and then, we can now compute the P value. For the probability of Z that is greater than 8.77. Again, area ng normal curve at 8.77 is equals to 0.4999. Isusubtract natin from 0.5. Ang makukuha natin ay 0.0001. Very good. Next. Since the test is one-tailed, the value remains as is. Therefore, ito yung final p-value natin. 0.001. Saan natin to i-compare? I-compare natin sa very good, sa alpha. So, yun na lang. State the decision rule, as usual, check natin. So, analysis natin dito, mas maliit yung p-value na na-compute natin compared to the level of significance. Therefore, ano magiging decision natin? We, what? We reject the null hypothesis. Ayan. So, kuha ba? Kuha. Very good. Thanks for watching my video lesson. Again, this is John Linas Almario saying, remember, trust the process. Bye guys. See you soon.